Hello. It has been a really long time. I think it's been like a couple months since my last video. I have been wanting to get on here and do an update, and I have been scared. I've been so nervous to do this. I feel like this is a really touchy topic, and I want to be very careful and very respectful about how I go about it, because I think a lot of people who are interested in watching this video are going to be very sensitive to this topic, just like I am. So I decided I wanted to share what I'm doing right now, because I think, number one, I was looking for videos on this topic, and there's a lot of people that do, like, I don't know, types of videos about this that it wasn't helpful to me, and I wanted to do something that I found helpful, something that I wish that I would have been able to find. And I found some stuff on TikTok, but I just love YouTube, and I feel like this is my platform. So I wanted to share with you guys, I am 2 weeks in on a GLP-1 shot. I feel like it's wild to even be saying this, because that is something I never really thought I would do. I have been trying to lose the baby weight, and I'm calling it the baby weight, but really I gained so much weight during my pregnancy, and I lost 50 pounds. So I gained like 70 or 75 pounds during my pregnancy. I lost 50 pounds naturally, and then this last like 25 pounds, I don't know what it is. I cannot lose it. Like, I don't know if it's hormonal changes or what, but my daughter will be 18 months in 2 weeks. And I got the first 50 pounds off in the first 6 months of her life. So for a year, I've been battling this extra, like, we'll just call it 30 pounds. And my husband and I we built a house, moved into our new house this past few months, and like, it has just been so stressful, that whole process, on top of working full time and having, being new parents. So I don't know if it's stress, if that has something to do with it, but I've just never had this hard of a time losing weight in my entire life. I feel like anytime I put my mind to it, I'm just able to do it, and it has been a completely different story for me this time. So I have heard of a lot of people, I actually have a lot of friends that have used it and had great experiences with it. I still didn't think that was something that I'd be willing to do. It just felt extreme. I've just gotten to the point where I was like, I am uncomfortable in my body right now. I'm uncomfortable in my skin. It affects me in everything that I do. And I really just want to get down to my pre-pregnancy weight. This is not some like 10 years ago, I looked the best I ever looked type of goal. This is like, a year and a half ago, before I got pregnant. Oh my gosh, wait, no, it's 2 years ago now, sorry. I had my daughter a year and a half ago. Where does time go? That's crazy. So 2 years ago, and maybe I'll like put a picture on the screen over here of what I looked like pre-pregnancy, like the week I found out I was pregnant, 2 weeks before I found out I was pregnant. I used to be very active, and even though I work full time, I still tried to go for long walks and be very active during the day. And I don't know, I was able to like eat healthy, and I feel like that kept me at a healthy weight. So now I'm doing Pilates 4 to 6 times a week, just depending on my schedule. And I'm trying to focus on eating protein, eating in a calorie deficit. And it's just like, I don't know. It is what it is. So that's my long-winded way of saying that I have started a GLP-1 shot. So what I want to talk about in today's video is what the first 2 weeks have been like, what I've seen in terms of results, and what my side effects have been. So I have started a little journal on my notes app of, from day one, the things that I felt, the things that I noticed. I think sometimes too, like, I don't know, I'm crazy when it comes to medicine. Like, I'm terrified of being on a medication. And I think I let it kind of like freak me out a little bit too, because I was like, I'm literally taking a shot. Like, that's wild to me that I'm choosing to take a shot to help me lose weight. I don't know. Little Brooke would be like, what are you talking about? So I started a little thing on my notes app. I don't know if the lighting is gonna even show you, but I did like my starting weight. Even my Oura Ring gave me some interesting feedback in the first week. It was like a summary of my first week. And yeah, so I started, my very first shot was July 2nd, 2025. My weight at the doctor's office was 186, which is like probably 30 to 35 pounds heavier than I was pre-pregnancy. And side note, I got down to 175 before we moved into this house, and I gained 10 pounds back in the last like 2.5 months. So I was trending in the wrong direction before I started this. That was another reason why I wanted to go on it. My 1 week checkup, I was down to 181. So I lost 5 pounds in that first week, first 7 days. And I will say it wasn't like I was just doing everything the exact same that I was doing before. I was really trying to focus on cutting out processed foods, refined sugars, anything that wasn't like a whole food or protein. And this is tricky because I'm gonna get into the side effects in a minute. It reminded me a lot of the nausea that I felt in my first trimester of pregnancy, except the appetite component wasn't there. So getting into the side effects, I said that the first day I had a really bad headache and I was really sleepy. I was mildly nauseous, but nothing crazy. So that headache the first day started probably 6 or 7 hours after my shot. And it actually was worse into the second day. I was taking Tylenol. It wasn't anything like, it wasn't a migraine. It wasn't something like insane, but it was definitely a headache and it was obnoxious. And then the mild nausea, I think more of that had to do with me being like, oh my gosh, what did I just put in my body? Like, this is insane. And then really the nausea was pretty mild throughout that first week. It wasn't anything that I was like, I'm genuinely terrified of throwing up. Like, being nauseous, being sick to my stomach, I avoid it like the plague. Like, that is the actual worst thing in the world to me, is throwing up. It was doable. Like, I was able to like go about my day. I was still able to go to Pilates, like all the things. So nothing to be too concerned about. And then getting into the changes that I made that first week, I said that I've consciously made an effort to eat whole, nutritious foods, prioritizing protein, and I made an effort to eliminate processed foods. I strongly believe that this has contributed to my weight loss, along with doing Pilates 5 times this week. So it's interesting because I had this whole mindset of going into it with like eating super healthy. I thought I was gonna not have any appetite the first week because that's kind of what people say when they go on the shot. But you're on such a low dose I think it's like the first month. You're like essentially microdosing, and I need to confirm when I say microdosing because I think that's what it is. I'm on like 0.25, and I think some people work their way up to like 5. I think it's milligrams. I really don't know enough about it to be saying that, but I just know that I'm on the lowest dose is what my doctor said. So I definitely still had an appetite, but it was nothing like pre-GLP-1. So what I mean by that is I would still get hungry and like crave things, but instead of being able to like eat a crumble cookie, when I like had a sweet tooth, I would eat like a handful of peanut M&Ms, and then that sweet tooth was, you know, taken care of. It was fine. Whereas before, like when I had a sweet tooth, I could like tear up a crumble cookie and then like still have a sweet tooth. Some of the notes I had were, after my first week on a GLP-1, my Oura advisor, my Oura Ring, gave me useful insights that I thought would be helpful to share. So it said that my average HRV, which is heart rate variability, dropped from 63 to the upper 30s, and then my body temperature dropped 0.6 degrees. So that was super interesting to me because at first I was like, oh my gosh, like what does that mean? And then when I actually did some research, that's also just synonymous with when you're losing weight, your HRV can drop and then your body temperature can drop down too. So I thought that was so interesting though, because I was like, I don't know, I love the Oura Ring, I love all the data, and I just thought it was so cool that it picked up on it literally the first week. So The other big side effect that I felt that I did not hear people talking about when I was, looking on TikTok, when I was trying to find videos of people's experiences, was I was freezing cold, like freezing cold. I could not get warm. I would be in the house in a sweatshirt and sweatpants with socks on and like under a quilt because I just was freezing cold. And I live just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, so it is like sweltering hot outside. And when I go outside, like I wouldn't be cold anymore, but I felt like I was not able to tolerate the heat either. So it was very interesting. Like it wasn't that I was just freezing, it was just like extreme temperature. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I just thought it was weird, so I'm sharing it. I don't know what it means. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, maybe somebody can tell me. And then on July 9th, I went back to the doctor. So that was my like 1 week checkup and then the date of my second shot. And I weighed in at 181 pounds. So I am 5'8". I think I probably should have said that in the beginning of this video. Just for reference, my happy, healthy, normal weight is like right around 150, 155. And I'm only looking to lose like 30, 35 pounds. I'm not. Week 2, I started off feeling really excited. I think my appetite was definitely decreased in week 1. I was really pleased with the results. And my doctor told me, he was like, 5 pounds might not sound like a lot, but then he made me hold like this, it's like a 5-pound model of fat and it looks like body fat. And he like put it in my hands and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy that I lost that in 1 week. So that was really cool. That was really helpful for me. I'm a very visual person, so seeing it and being able to hold it and knowing that that came off of my body in 7 days was pretty crazy and very motivating. But then he also told me, he's like, you're not gonna lose 5 pounds every week. Like that's not sustainable. I would say that's probably not even healthy at my weight. Like if I were, 100 pounds heavier than I am now, that might be realistic, but with a 30 to 35 pound weight loss, it's not, it's probably gonna be more like 2, maybe 3 pounds a week. And I think that just sounds more in line with kind of what I was expecting, I guess. I really want to preserve muscle mass as best that I can. I'm maintaining Pilates. My goal is anywhere from 4 to 6 times a week. So I know that like people are gonna come on here and be like, oh, you should be lifting weights, you should be strength training. Like this is coming from somebody that hasn't been in a gym in like over a decade. So starting Pilates has been amazing for me. It has been easing me back into the idea of going to the gym, working out, but it's also just been like this amazing community of women. And I just love it so much. So it's partially to be active and partially because it's just like, I love it so much. Week 2 has been a little bit different. So we had some friends that had a stomach bug like 4th of July weekend. And I just knew that I was gonna get it. I just told you guys earlier in this video that I'm like terrified of throwing up. And when I say terrified, like it's it's like a fear, okay? I think it's called emetophobia. Like it's an irrational fear of throwing up. So when they told me that their household had it, we had just spent all of 4th of July with them. I was like, I'm gonna get it, here we go. And sure enough, I woke up the day after my shot at like 3 a.m. and my stomach was like cramping so bad. And at first I was like, is this because of the shot? Like because I had gotten the shot earlier that day, I was like, it has to be, like that has to be it. But then I did a little bit of research and the symptoms like did not line up. I ended up having a very mild version of the stomach bug. I wasn't throwing up, but everything else, So, and then my husband had a little bit of tummy trouble too, so that kind of confirmed it for me that it wasn't the shot. And then I was fine after that. So it was like a very short stint, maybe like 3 or 4 hours. And then I woke up and like worked and was fine that whole day. So I was a little low energy the day after my shot. I think that's another thing I wasn't really expecting. Like the fatigue is real. And I will say like the day of the shot and the day after for the very beginning, even on a very low dose, you feel like almost like you have the flu. And I don't mean the body aches or the chills or anything. It's just the fatigue. Like you're really wiped. So it's good to take it easy those days. So like I get my shot first thing in the morning before work. So I'm usually fine the day of. It's like later in the day that I start to be like, okay, I'm kind of wiped. But the next day I'm like just exhausted. I don't go to Pilates that day. I just take it easy and let myself rest. And I really try to make sure I'm getting in as much protein as I can stomach. So that brings me to my next side effect. I think overall the nausea and the fatigue have been the hardest, and I will still say I would choose this any day of the week because I'm seeing the progress. It's not like, oh, if you keep up with it, you're gonna lose a few pounds in a few weeks. Like, I think that's what's so difficult about exercise is there's no instant gratification. And I'm still doing it. I know it's good for me. I know it's doing what it needs to be doing. However, like having results immediately is also very important to me because I'm a very results-driven person. And as I said earlier, a very visual person. And if I can't see the number on the scale getting closer to where I was and where I want to be, I feel like I'm not doing something right. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, but as a mom, as a wife, working full time, like being able to meal prep, cook, plan healthy meals, like making sure that you're like meal prepping and cooking, like it's exhausting. Like it's so exhausting. So I told myself, keep it simple, like don't overcomplicate it, eat whole foods, try to eat protein as much as you can. And my husband can eat whatever he wants. We have plenty of food. That man loves pasta and pizza, and I just can't be on the same wavelength as him when it comes to food right now because I'm on my weight loss journey. So yeah. So I go in 2 days. I'm like nearing the end of week 2 on the shot, and so far I'm really pleased with it. I was really, really anxious about starting it. I was curious how it was gonna go. I did not think that I was going to have as good of an experience as I've been having. And honestly, I kind of wanna keep like staying at as low of a dose as possible because I don't want to be at the point where I can't eat. Like, I don't want to get to the point, I hear some people talk about it and they're like, I, have to force myself to eat like 3 bites of something in a day. And like, I personally don't think that's healthy. I don't want to get to the point where I'm just essentially starving myself because that's why you lose weight on a GLP-1. At least to my knowledge, you're literally just not putting in calories. So I know from experience that doing that is not good for me. It's not good for my mental health. I'm just gonna drop muscle and I don't wanna do that. However, I do really like the way that it is like curbing my appetite. So I wanna continue, I'm gonna call it microdosing. I should probably look it up because I don't wanna be saying the wrong thing. Hold on. So a microdose is probably a little bit less than what I'm on. So I'm on 0.25 milligrams per week, and a microdose is considered 0.05 milligrams to 0.2 milligrams weekly, according to ChatGPT. So we love her. Oh yeah, I would say that I wish I would have maybe even started with a lower dose because to me it was more about like, hey, in the next 6 months, I want to lose 30 pounds. I think that's a very realistic, attainable goal. However, I'm not opposed to having the help of a GLP-1. I think it's gonna be very beneficial for me. It's also very motivating to know that I'm spending money to help myself lose weight. So I'm like, okay, like, do you really wanna go get, hibachi takeout for dinner? Or, if it's all the same to you and you're not having cravings, like, why don't you just make something healthy? Like, I feel like it's just as appetizing and just as exciting to eat healthy whole foods as it is to like get my favorite meal in the world, which is ginger hibachi in Dixon, Tennessee. Is my favorite thing in the world. So yeah, that is kind of my 2-week roundup. I'm gonna do a series and keep you guys updated and keep talking about my journey, where I'm at. I feel like it's such a touchy subject. I know some people are gonna come on here and be like, nope, she's on a GLP-1, I'm not watching this. honestly, a year ago, I felt the same way. Like, I was like, no, I've lost 50 pounds naturally. Like, I don't need to do that. And honestly, like, I'm just waving the white flag. I gotta do what I gotta do for me to make myself happy. And right now, that means this. So I am going to keep you guys updated and continue to do a little series on here of my weight loss and also just like the different side effects. Obviously, I'm probably gonna be going up on a dose soon. I don't think anytime in the first month. My doctor said I'm probably gonna be at the lowest dose. But after that, you know, if it starts to wear off or whatever, like I'm sure I'll go up a little bit. So I'll keep you guys updated on the side effects, how I feel about it, all that fun stuff. And hopefully at the end of this series, I will be doing a before and after photos. I am obviously not comfortable sharing my before photos because I'm 2 weeks in and I'm only down 7 pounds total. Yeah, I forgot to say that. I've lost 2 more pounds so far this week. So I'm down 7 pounds, which is actually kind of crazy to think that in 2 weeks I've lost 7 pounds. I'm like not recommending this. I'm not suggesting that people need to do this. It's just what I feel like is the right decision for me in this season of life. And I just want to be an open book for anyone else that is considering it. And yeah, I will do another update probably. Let me know if you guys want to see like a weekly update or if you want it to be like every 2 weeks. I feel like weekly, I'm definitely going to keep updating my notes app weekly, just maintaining like the weight loss number and then any new side effects. I think when I go up on a dose, whenever that is, it'll be really important for me to give you guys the update again. But I do feel like maybe every 2 weeks would be good. So I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. So any questions, if you guys want specifics, I also am on Instagram. You can DM me and I will answer your questions the best I can. I thank you guys for watching.